Hello, my name is Doug McCutcheon, and I am the preserve steward for the San Juan County Conservation Land Bank. I also work as a program advisor for the Islands Conservation Corps, and I serve on the board of the Northwest Straits Foundation. Riparian restoration is really important. It's one of our habitats that have probably been most heavily degraded, not just here in the San Juan Islands, but throughout sort of the western United States. These areas were converted early on for agriculture in an attempt to sort of maximize the available land, but not realizing that in maximizing the available land that it would also decrease some of the other valuable resources, notably water. So we are walking around here at the Lower Zylstra site and checking on some of the plantings that were put in, and really it's pretty remarkable. I think it's looking really great for the survival of these. These were live stakes, so these were just cut from living shrubs. Those shrubs will go on living and producing as well, and from many different sites from around the island. And basically these were just kind of pushed down into the soil last fall. To really understand how our riparian systems have become degraded, you really need to go into a whole history lesson. There's some really good data points from the 1800s that demonstrate that the whole hydrology was much different than we experience today. Flows in streams started much later, and then they persisted later into the year. Really what that sort of reflects is that we have done a lot of conversions to the land, whether that's ditching along roads or ditching and draining through wetlands to try and move water out of the landscape. And that removal of water really affects a lot of vegetation and then all of the species that depend on these sites. Willow species typically do a lot better than probably just about anything else in terms of establishing from these live stakes. And these were done this height so that they're a little bit more robust and that they can get up above some of the grasses, particularly the reed canary grass. Who benefits from riparian restoration? Pretty much everything and everyone. So from a species and habitat standpoint, that is, we're restoring habitat and we're restoring diversity in these sites, that for amphibians, for birds, for small mammals, for fish, there's going to be some very clear and obvious benefits. Some of the benefits that aren't as well known are things like carbon sequestration that benefit sort of the planet and people in terms of global warming. There's also some really great benefits even for agriculture. By restoring some of these sites and not just trying to get rid of water, we can retain water into the landscape. And that has as the water table rises, that can actually benefit grazing and crop production in the margins outside of the riparian zones. So black cottonwood, kind of one plant that's kind of unusual distribution across the San Juans. There's not a whole heck of a lot of it, but it can grow really rapidly, give a lot of structure. And another really great attribute is once it dies, that produces just this really great large woody debris that then can kind of create some complexity. Like if you look out here right now, it's just kind of this big, broad, flat plain that doesn't have very much vegetation complexity or land complexity. By getting some large woody debris established in here, and this will be, maybe 40 to 80 years out, we'll be able to then basically be retaining some more moisture and creating more sort of habitat and diversity on the site. There's a lot of science that had pointed to the shorelines in the San Juan Islands being really, really important for juvenile salmon. So those salmon have gone up into the streams, have spawned, the juvenile fish come down, and then they spend some part of their life here in the San Juans, kind of throughout the whole region, particularly around estuaries. And they're looking for small critters that have been flushed out of wetlands and from riparian zones. So by having us sort of have good intact riparian areas, we're going to be providing a lot better food and resources and clean water downstream into our nearshore environment. And that's going to benefit small fish, large fish, and all the way up the food chain, whether you're interested in killer whales or you're just interested in a healthy marine environment for seabirds and everything else. Well, what we're looking at here, we're next to False Bay Creek on San Juan Island, and this is a riparian restoration project that was just initiated last year. And really kind of the main focus of this is trying to reestablish the riparian buffer with vegetation. And so there are a very large number of live stake plants, bare root plants that have been planted out and are being maintained. And the goal here is getting the right sort of density and timing that we can kind of throw all this at it and basically see what sticks. Every site's different, and it's pretty difficult to come up with a perfect recipe for every site. But by getting enough density and diversity in these sites, we can kind of see which plants are making it, maintain those over time, and grow and expand the project. One of the biggest things that we're working to deal with are some of the introduced invasive species, especially reed canary grass is a major challenge. It's an introduced grass species. It gets very tall and is very competitive with other plants. It makes it very difficult to establish some of this native vegetation. So really, riparian restoration, it adds beauty, it adds function, it adds capacities for agriculture. Really, why wouldn't you want to do this?